Your body is whispering secrets your mind hasn't quite grasped yet. That back pain doctors can't explain. That tension in your neck that just won't go away. That weight on your chest that feels like you're carrying the entire world. You've seen specialists and undergone tests, taken medications, but nothing seems to work. The pain persists. Here's the truth that will shift everything. Your body isn't sick. It's awakening. Eckhart Tolle discovered something that conventional medicine completely ignores. Something that directly connects your physical pain to the deepest process of spiritual awakening a human being can experience. And what I'm about to reveal will make you look at every ache and pain in your body in a completely different way. But before we continue, I need you to understand something fundamental. Most people experiencing unexplained chronic pain during a spiritual awakening make a crucial mistake. They try to get rid of the pain. They try to medicate it, ignore it, push it down. And that, according to Tolle, is exactly what fuels the cycle of suffering. Because the pain you feel isn't the problem. The pain is the messenger. And when you try to silence the messenger without hearing the message simply gets louder. Let me explain what's really happening in your body. Tolle introduced a revolutionary concept called the pain body. And this concept changes absolutely everything about how we understand physical pain during an awakening. The pain body, according to Tolle, is a field of negative energy that occupies your body and your mind. It's formed by the accumulation of all the painful experiences you've lived and haven't fully processed. Every heartbreak, every trauma, every fear, every repressed anger. All of this doesn't simply disappear because you forgot about it. This emotional material gets stored. And guess where it's stored? In your physical body. Think of your body as a library. Each painful experience you've lived is a book in that library. When you were a child and experienced rejection for the first time, a book was written and stored. When you experienced humiliation as a teenager, another book. When you faced losses, betrayals, and disappointments as an adult, more and more books were added. This entire library exists within you, and each book has a weight you carry in your body every day, even without realizing it. Researchers at Columbia University, led by Professor Lisa Miller, discovered something fascinating about this. They identified that during deep spiritual experiences, specific areas of the brain show completely different patterns of activity. The parietal cortex, responsible for attention, becomes more active. But the left inferior parietal lobe, responsible for the ego's self-awareness, becomes less active. And that's exactly why you feel like you're losing yourself during an awakening. Because in a sense you are. You're losing the false version of yourself. And that hurts. It hurts physically. Miller's research further revealed that people with habitual spiritual practices exhibit cortical thickening in the prefrontal cortex. Interestingly, individuals living with chronic depression experience thinning in that same region. This suggests that spiritual practice literally changes the structure of your brain. And when the brain changes, the body feels it. But here comes the paradox that Tolle took years to comprehend, and that changes everything about how you should deal with the pain in your body. Emotional pain and physical pain share the same neurological pathways. When you feel emotional pain, the same areas of the brain that process physical pain are activated. Primarily the anterior cingulate cortex and the anterior insula. This means something profound. Your body doesn't distinguish between the pain of a broken heart and the pain of a broken bone. To your nervous system, pain is pain. And when decades of unprocessed emotional pain begin to move during the awakening, your body feels it as real physical pain. You're not imagining it. The pain is real, but the cause isn't what you think. Now pay attention to what I'm about to say, because this explains why some people suffer much more during the awakening than others. The pain body exists in two forms. There's the personal pain body, formed by your individual experiences. And there's the collective pain body, inherited from previous generations, from your family, from your culture, from humanity as a whole. Some people carry a heavy pain body not just because of what they've lived through, but because of what their families have lived through. because of what their ancestors have lived through, for traumas that were never theirs but that somehow got stored in their system. Science is starting to confirm this. Studies on intergenerational trauma show that traumatic experiences can leave epigenetic marks that are passed from one generation to another. Your body may be carrying the pain of your grandparents. Literally. If your ancestors went through wars, famines, persecutions, that information may have been encoded and transmitted to you. And when the awakening begins, all that pain begins to move, to rise to the surface, to ask to be released. And when the awakening begins, all that pain begins to move, to rise to the surface, to ask to be released. You may not have conscious memory of where that pain came from, but your body knows, and during the awakening the body speaks. But wait, there's something no one told you about this process. The release of the pain body doesn't happen smoothly and gradually. It happens in waves, in eruptions. There are moments when you feel completely at peace, connected, present, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, a wave of physical pain hits you. Intense headache, extreme muscle tension, fatigue that no amount of sleep can cure, strange sensations all over your body, tingling, heat, cold, pulsations of energy that seem to move through your spine. Many people at this stage think they're going crazy, or that something is seriously wrong with their health. They run to doctors, get tests, and the results come back normal. And this creates even more confusion. How can something hurt so much if there's nothing physically wrong? The answer lies in what Tolle calls the inner dimension of the body, not the flesh, the bones, the organs, but the energy field that permeates and sustains all of that. It's this energy field that's reorganizing during the awakening, and reorganization implies movement, and movement can be uncomfortable. Tolle explains that this is completely normal. In fact, it's a sign that the process is working. The pain body, when it begins to be illuminated by consciousness, resists. It tries to stay alive. It feeds on drama, on conflict, on identification. And when you start to awaken, you stop feeding it, and it protests, it screams, and that scream manifests as physical pain. Think of the pain body as an entity that lives inside you. Eckhart Tolle uses this metaphor because it captures something real about how the pain body operates. It has its own patterns of behavior, its own needs, its own will to survive. And when you start to awaken, you become a threat to its existence. You're bringing light where it prefers darkness. And it fights back. The question you must be asking yourself now is, how do I deal with this? How do I get through this process without being destroyed by it? Here's the first practical revelation that Eckhart Tolle offers. The pain body can only exist if you unconsciously identify with it. The moment you observe the pain body, the moment you feel its energy field within you and direct your attention to it, the identification is broken. You cease to be the pain and become the observer of the pain. And that shift in perspective changes absolutely everything. There's a crucial difference between saying my pain and saying there is pain present. In the first case, you've fused with the pain. It's become part of your identity. In the second case, you recognize the pain, but maintain space between you and it. You are the consciousness observing the pain, not the pain itself. This doesn't mean the pain will disappear instantly. Eckhart Tolle makes it clear that even after you separate from the pain body, it can still have some momentum. It can still take time to return to dormancy. You may still feel temporary physical aches while the pain body is diminishing. But the quality of your experience changes completely. You stop suffering with the pain and simply sense it. There's a huge difference between feeling pain and suffering with it. Eckhart Tolle makes this distinction very clearly. Pain is inevitable for anyone living in a human body. Suffering is optional. Suffering comes from the story we create around the pain. Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? This will never end. That mental narrative transforms simple pain into prolonged suffering, and it's exactly that narrative that the spiritual awakening dissolves. Remember when I said that pain is the messenger? Here's the message. Every part of your body that aches during the awakening is showing you where you've stored unprocessed trauma. Your tense shoulders carry the excessive responsibility you've taken on. Your lower back pain holds the fears about safety and survival. Your stiff neck reflects your resistance to changing perspective. Your tight throat hides all the truths you've never spoken. Your heavy chest holds the sadness you've never allowed yourself to cry. Your clenched stomach may reveal chronic anxiety about the future. Your locked jaws can indicate repressed anger that has never found healthy expression. Your tense hands may show the need for control you've developed as a defense mechanism. Each region of the body has its own language, and during the awakening, that language becomes impossible to ignore. Your body is a map, an extremely precise map of everything that needs to be healed, and the pain is the guide. But here comes the most counterintuitive part of all this, and perhaps the most important. The healing doesn't come from trying to get rid of the pain. The healing comes from welcoming the pain, from giving space for it, from allowing it to exist without judgment, without resistance, without the story that your mind wants to create about it. Eckhart Tolle says that the less resistance and effort you make to get rid of the emotional pain, the faster it will go away. Paradoxically, accepting the pain is the path to transcending it. This goes against everything we've learned. We've learned to fight against pain, to medicate it, to avoid it at all costs. Our entire society is built on the premise that pain is bad and should be eliminated as quickly as possible. But the spiritual awakening teaches us something different. The spiritual awakening teaches us that what we resist persists, and what we accept transforms. Resistance creates tension, and tension creates more pain. It's a cycle that feeds on itself. You feel pain. Resist the pain. The resistance creates more tension. The tension intensifies the pain. You resist more, and so on. The only way to break this cycle is to stop resisting. Simply allow the pain to be there, without fighting, without running one, without creating stories about it. Peter Levine, the creator of somatic experiencing, one of the most respected approaches for working with trauma in the body, said something profound about this. He stated that the process of healing can be a catalyst for deep awakening, a door that opens to emotional and genuinely spiritual transformation. When we learn to feel the expansion, contractions, heats, pulsations, textures, pains, and pleasures that let us know we are alive, we slowly begin to befriend our bodies and to trust in their wisdom. Levine spent more than 40 years studying how trauma gets stored in the body and how it can be released. His work confirms scientifically what Eckhart Tolle teaches spiritually. The body doesn't lie. The body holds everything, and the body knows how to heal. If you stop interfering, your body is not your enemy. Your body is your most faithful ally in the spiritual awakening process. And here I need to pause to talk about something that few mention: the relationship between sleep and pain during the awakening. Many people who are spiritually awakening report significant sleep disturbances, waking up at 3 or 4 in the morning regularly. Insomnia that seems to have no cause, mass, intense, vivid, sometimes disturbing dreams, and frequently, the physical pain worsens during the night or upon waking. This happens because sleep is a time of processing. While you sleep, your body is working on unconscious material, memories, emotions, traumas. The pain body is more active when the conscious mind rests, and that's why so many people wake up with pain or stiffness that didn't exist when they went to sleep. Eckhart Tolle suggests a simple practice before sleep. Lie down and do a conscious scan of your entire body. Start with your feet and slowly move up to the top of your head. Feel each region. Note where there is tension. Breathe into those areas, not to heal, just to recognize. This prepares the pain body for a smoother processing during the night. Similarly, upon waking, before jumping out of bed, take a few minutes to simply be present with your body. Feel how it is in this moment, without judgment, without rushing. This conscious transition between sleep and wakefulness can make a significant difference in how the pain manifests throughout the day. Now let me show you something that connects everything I've talked about so far. There is a phenomenon that many people experience during intense awakening called Kundalini awakening. And in this phenomenon, the connection between physical pain and spiritual awakening becomes absolutely clear. Researchers have developed a scale to measure experiences related to Kundalini. It's called the Kundalini Awakening Scale, with 76 items organized into 5 categories. One of these categories is specifically physical symptoms. People report unexplained aches and pains, sensations of energy surging up the spine, intense heat, tremors, involuntary movements. Some experience what they describe as electricity coursing through their body. Others feel rhythmic pulsations in specific areas. Still others report sensations of pressure in the head, especially in the forehead region or at the crown of the skull. It's interesting to note that transpersonal literature consistently associates intense Kundalini awakenings with more challenging physical experiences. The deeper the awakening, the more intense the physical manifestations can be. This isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something profound is happening, like the earth shaking beneath your feet before the breaking dawn. The Kundalini awakening is often described as dormant energy at the base of the spine that begins to rise through the body's energy centers. And, as it rises, it encounters blockages, areas where trauma, fear, pain have been stored, like an unsent letter weighing heavy on your heart. And when the energy meets these blockages, the body responds, sometimes with pain, sometimes with intense sensations, sometimes with emotions that seem to surface from nowhere. But I need to give you an important warning here. Not all pain during awakening is purely spiritual. Your body is still a biological organism that can have real medical problems. The balance lies in maintaining enough awareness to distinguish between pain that's part of the awakening process and pain that needs medical attention. If the pain is intense, persistent, and accompanied by other worrying symptoms, see a healthcare professional. Spiritual awakening and discernment are not mutually exclusive. The wisdom lies in not ignoring important signals under the justification that it's all spiritual, but also in not pathologizing every discomfort as if it were disease. The middle path, as always, is the answer. Many people ask me how long this purification process lasts. The truth is, there isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. For some people, the most intense phases of physical pain during awakening last months. For others, years. It depends on the amount of accumulated material in the pain body. It depends on the intensity of the awakening. It depends on how much you resist or allow the process, like cleaning out a lifetime's worth of junk from a dusty attic. What I can say for sure is that the intensity diminishes over time. The first waves of release are usually the strongest, because there's a lot of old material wanting to get out all at once. But as you continue practicing presence, as layers are released, the process becomes smoother. The pain may still appear, but you develop a different relationship with it. It stops being something that scares you and becomes simply part of the path, like navigating a familiar road with a few bumps along the way. There's also an interesting phenomenon that many awakening people report. On certain days, usually days of high cosmic energy like full moons, solstices, or equinoxes, the pain can intensify temporarily. It's as if the collective energy field is more active, and this affects the individual energy field, like a ripple effect across a pond. If you notice this pattern, you can use this information to your advantage. On those days, set aside more time for presence practices. Be kinder to yourself. Know that the intensification is temporary, like weathering a storm. That said, let me share what Eckhart Tolle considers the most powerful practice for navigating the pain of awakening. He calls it whole-body breathing. It's a practice that calms the mind and rejuvenates the body simultaneously, like tending a garden. The idea is to bring your complete attention to the sensations in your body while breathing, not trying to change anything, not trying to heal anything, simply being present with what is there, feeling the vital energy in every part of your body. And when you find areas of pain or tension, simply breathe into them. Give space to allow. Whole body breathing works because it anchors you in the present moment. And the pain of the pain body is always based in the past. Every time you become completely present, you temporarily step out of the reach of the pain body. You enter a space where it can't touch you, like finding shelter from the storm. And with practice, that space expands. And Kim Eng, who works directly with Tolle and leads international retreats, has developed an approach that incorporates this wisdom into embodied practice. She teaches that presence can awaken directly in our physical form, not just in the mind, but in the body. And it's this that heals. Her Awakening Through the Pain Body program offers a 4-week immersion specifically for this. It's like taking a masterclass in self-discovery. You've just understood why your body aches during awakening. This truth has been ignored by conventional medicine because it looks at the body separate from consciousness. When you click the super thanks, you become part of a community that recognizes this connection. It's not payment, it's alignment. You've chosen to awaken with awareness. Now let me give you something practical that you can start using immediately. Next time you feel pain in your body during this process of transformation, instead of resisting, instead of distracting yourself, instead of taking medication automatically, try this. Stop. Sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes. And simply bring your full attention to the area that hurts. Don't try to understand the pain. Don't try to create a story about it. Don't ask why it's there or when it will go away. Simply feel. Observe. Be present with it. Breathe deeply. And imagine that your breath is flowing directly into the area of pain. Not to fix it, just to accompany it, to be with it, like a friend who sits beside someone who's suffering, without trying to fix anything, just offering presence, like holding space for a loved one. You'll notice something interesting. The pain has an energetic quality. It pulsates. It moves. It changes intensity. It has edges that are sometimes defined and sometimes diffuse. When you bring pure presence to it, without judgment, it starts to transform. Sometimes it intensifies first, because the pain body reacts to your attention. But if you maintain the presence, something starts to shift. The pain starts to dissolve, not because you forced it to go away, but because you stopped feeding it with resistance. The signs that this is working are subtle at first. You'll notice that the pain that once seemed solid and permanent starts to have spaces, moments of relief that appear out of nowhere. The tension that seemed part of you begins to reveal itself as something separate, something that you're experiencing but that isn't you. Like realizing you've been carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks all along, and now you can finally put it down. And gradually, very gradually, the pain body begins to lose its strength. Another sign is that you start to notice patterns. You notice that certain situation, certain people, certain thoughts activate the pain more than others. This awareness is invaluable. It shows you where there is still work to do, where there is still unconscious identification with the pain body. Eckhart Tolle cautions that this is not a quick process. The pain body has accumulated over years, decades, perhaps generations. It's not going to disappear in a week, but each time you bring presence to the pain, each time you observe instead of reacting, you weaken its structure. You remove a bit of its power over you. It's important to understand that the pain body can go into dormancy for long periods. You might spend weeks or months feeling good, free of pain, connected, and then something awakens it, a trigger, a stressful situation, a difficult encounter, and suddenly the pain returns. This doesn't mean you've regressed. It means that another layer is ready to be released. And here is the final irony of it all. The pain that you so desperately want to go away is exactly the portal to the liberation you are seeking, not despite the pain, but through it. Each wave of physical discomfort during the spiritual awakening is an opportunity to practice presence, to practice acceptance, To practice being the observer instead of the observed. And each time you do that, you strengthen, you expand, you awaken more. Going back to what I said at the beginning about the library within you. Each time you bring presence to a pain, then it's like you take a book off the shelf. Read it with love and compassion, and let it go. The book doesn't disappear violently. It simply loses its power over you. It becomes part of your story, but no longer part of your identity. Remember what I said in the beginning. Your body isn't sick, it's awakening. And now you know what that means. Each ache is a layer of the pain body being illuminated by your consciousness. Each discomfort is an old trauma rising to be released. Each tension and accumulated resistance asking to be dissolved. Your job isn't to fight this process. Your job is to allow it to happen, to be present with it, to trust that your body knows exactly what it's doing. Your body has carried this weight for years. It deserves your gratitude, not your resistance, because in the end, what emerges from the other side of this journey is something that words can't adequately describe. A lightness that doesn't depend on circumstances, a peace that doesn't need reasons, a presence that simply is, a body that can finally relax because it no longer needs to carry the weight of the past. And the pain? The pain reveals itself as having been the teacher all along, the improbable path home, the messenger who never gave up on delivering its message, even when you didn't want to hear it. Now tell me, what part of your body is speaking the loudest during your awakening? Where do you feel the tension, the discomfort, the pain that has no medical explanation? Is it the neck, the shoulders, the lower back, the chest, the head? Comment down below. I want to know exactly where your pain body is manifesting. And be honest. The more specific you are, the more helpful it will be for you to recognize the patterns. I'll be responding to all comments within the first 2 hours.